Welcome to our deep dive into the world of Morse code.
Morse code.
You know that system of dots and dashes? It's like a
Yeah.
secret language for letters and numbers and punctuation.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
We're going to uncover how it was born, how it went from like bumps on paper to sounds traveling through the airwaves,
Right.
and we'll even explore how it's being used today.
That's right.
It's a journey that spans over 160 years.
It is over 160 years.
And what's fascinating is that it all started not with radio waves, but with a painter.
Uh-huh.
A painter named Samuel Morse.
Samuel F.B. Morse.
Wait, a painter?
Yeah.
I thought he was some kind of tech genius.
Well, he was an artist.
Yeah.
And he also ended up being an inventor.
Okay.
So he was multi-talented.
So was he like a frustrated painter and then was like, oh, I'm going to go invent this thing? Or
Well, the way I understand it is that he got the idea for an electric telegraph while on a ship back from Europe in 1832.
Okay.
He was captivated by these conversations happening all around him about electromagnetism, and he saw the potential for a faster way to communicate across long distances.
Right. Because back then it was all like, letters being carried by ships and horses and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So picture this Morse inspired by the cutting edge science of his time,
Yeah. Yeah.
Sets out to revolutionize communication.
Right.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
Morse was like the big idea guy, but it was his partner Alfred Vail who really brought the code to life.
That's true. Alfred Vail was a key player in this story.
Okay.
He was a skilled mechanic and a brilliant mind.
Uh-huh.
He partnered with Morse, and they turned this concept into a working system.
Huh.
Their early versions focused on transmitting numbers, which would then be looked up in a code book to find the corresponding word.
Oh, wow.
So you can imagine sending entire messages by number.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so tedious.
And it was quite a process.
Okay, so how did they make the leap from numbers to letters and punctuation and everything else we use?
Well, Vail had a really clever approach.
Yeah?
He did something pretty interesting.
What was that?
He analyzed the frequency of letters in the English language.
Uh-huh.
He actually counted individual pieces of type he found in a newspaper's typecases.
Wow, that's commitment.
It is.
Okay.
And based on this, he and Morse developed a system where the most commonly used letters got the shortest codes.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
It's all about efficiency.
it is.
So that's why E, the most frequent letter in English,
Right?
is represented by just a single dit.
A single dot, exactly.
I never even thought about that.
Yeah,
That's cool.
it's pretty clever.
So, but in those early days,
Yeah.
how are these dits and days actually, transmitted?
Well, initially they used an electrical current to power a receiver that made indentations on a paper tape.
So they were still doing the paper tape thing.
Yeah, they were.
Okay.
So imagine deciphering messages by reading those little bumps and spaces.
Oh, my God.
It was like a tactile form of communication.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So it's like a precursor to Braille, in a way.
You could say that?
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating.
But eventually they moved away from the paper tape, right?
They did.
Okay. How did that happen?
Well, skilled telegraph operators emerged who could actually bypass the paper altogether.
Really?
They became so attuned to the clicking sounds that the receiver made
Mm-hmm.
that they could write down messages simply by listening to the rhythm of the clicks.
Wow.
They developed this sonic sense for the code.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So was that when the iconic dit and da sounds came into play?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
As operators started hearing the code rather than reading it, they began using dit and da to vocalize the sounds, the dots and dashes.
Okay, so it became like an actual spoken language.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So this made communication even faster
Uh-huh.
because they could essentially speak in Morse code.
Exactly.
It's amazing how human ingenuity just pushed the boundaries of this technology.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable.
But our sources also mention a guy named Friedrich Gurk.
Oh, yes, Friedrich Gurk.
How did he contribute to the evolution of Morse code?
Well, Gurk was a German telegraph inspector,
Yeah.
and he saw ways to refine Morse's original code.
Okay.
You see, the initial version actually had dashes of varying lengths, which could be confusing.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So Gurk streamlined the system using only dots and dashes with consistent durations.
So he made it simpler and more standardized.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he also introduced codes for German letters that weren't included in the original version.
Right, because the original version was very English-centric.
It was.
Yes.
So his modified code became known as the Hamburg alphabet, and became so popular that it was adopted across Germany and Austria.
Wow, so it really expanded beyond just English-speaking countries.
It did.
It sounds like Girk was instrumental in making Morse code truly international.
He really was a key figure in that transition.
That's quite a journey from bumps on paper to a global standard all within just a few decades.
Yeah, it's incredible how quickly it evolved.
Yeah. It makes you wonder what Samuel Morse would think of how far his invention has come.
I'm sure he'd be amazed.
Yeah.
But this is just the beginning of our deep dive.
Oh, really?
Morse code was about to take to the airwaves and play a crucial role in the development of radio communication.
Oh, wow.
And that's a story you won't want to miss.
I'm intrigued already.
It's a good one. Welcome back to our deep dive into Morse code.
Picking up where we left off with the creation of International Morse code.
A system that was ready for a world that was really eager for faster communication.
Right, like perfectly timed. Because right around that time, another groundbreaking technology was emerging. Radio.
Yeah, exactly. As if on cue, right?
And that's where Morse code's story really starts to feel like something bigger,
Yeah.
more exciting,
Yeah.
like an adventure novel or something.
Yeah.
Suddenly, communication isn't bound by physical wires anymore.
Exactly. In those early days of radio, before they figured out how to do reliable voice transmission, Morse code became essential
Really isn't.
for wireless communication. Yeah.
It's almost as if Morse code was destined to take flight.
Literally takes flight.
Yeah, like literally.
Yeah.
Imagine those early pilots relying on these dits and das to navigate
Right.
and communicate while they're soaring through the skies.
Absolutely. It's a powerful image.
Yeah.
And it's completely accurate.
Wow.
Morse code allowed pilots to identify navigation beacons, get weather updates,
Wow.
stay in contact with ground stations.
So it really revolutionized aviation safety
Yeah.
and exploration.
It did.
Speaking of exploration, one of our sources highlighted the Southern Cross flight in 1928.
Oh, yeah.
That amazing journey from California to Australia.
Yeah.
And one of the crew members was a dedicated radio operator
Wow.
who was just sending and receiving Morse code messages
Wow.
throughout the entire flight.
Think about that for a second.
Yeah.
Crossing vast oceans,
Yeah.
relying on this seemingly simple code
It's incredible.
to stay on course
Yeah.
and reassure the world that they were safe.
It's a real testament to the reliability of Morse code
Yes.
and the human skill
Yeah,
involved in using it effectively.
absolutely.
And it wasn't just pilots
Yeah.
who relied on it.
Uh-huh.
Morse code became a lifeline for maritime communication as well.
Absolutely. Ships could communicate with each other
Yeah.
and with coastal stations regardless of the distance.
Regardless of the distance.
Yeah.
So that was particularly important during emergencies,
Of course.
right? The SOS signal,
Yeah.
which is ... ..
Right?
became a universal call for help,
It did.
no matter what language you spoke.
It transcended language barriers.
Yeah.
Offered a beacon of hope in emergencies at sea. It's incredible.
3 letters.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah, powerful stuff.
Yeah.
But beyond its peacetime uses, Morse code also played a vital role in naval warfare.
You're right. It's an aspect of its history that often gets overlooked.
Right.
Voice radio systems back then were limited in range
Okay.
and easily intercepted.
But Morse code could be transmitted over long distances and was much harder to decipher by the enemy.
It was like a secret language
Yeah.
within a secret language.
It was.
They would encrypt the messages
Right.
and then transmit them in Morse.
Adding another layer of security. Exactly.
It really was a code of wartime heroes.
It was.
But the use of Morse code in warfare also highlights its adaptability.
Yeah.
Like it could be used with flashing lights,
Right.
tapping sounds, even by pulling on a rope in extreme situations.
That's right.
One of our sources detailed how Morse code was used in mine rescues.
Oh, wow.
Rescuers would tap on pipes or tug on ropes,
Right.
using the code to communicate with trapped miners.
Wow, that's incredible.
It's another example of how this system could be a lifeline in really challenging environments.
Yeah, when all else fails, right?
Yeah.
It's a testament to its resilience.
Yeah.
And its ability to connect people when it matters most.
Even as technology advanced.
And voice and data transmission became more common,
Right.
Morse code continued to find new and unexpected applications.
It's true.
Okay, so let's fast forward a bit
Okay.
and talk about Morse code today.
Okay.
Because contrary to what many people believe, it's not just a relic of the past.
No, it's not.
It's still around.
Uh-huh.
So amateur radio operators, or hams,
Yeah.
are a great example.
Right.
They continue to use Morse code.
Yeah.
for a long-distance communication.
They do.
And just for the fun of it.
It's a popular mode of communication among them, especially for those who appreciate the challenge and the rhythm of sending and receiving those dits and days.
Yeah, it's like a community united by their passion.
It is a community.
For this unique form of communication.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's incredibly efficient, requires less bandwidth than voice transmissions.
Right.
And it's able to cut through noise and interference.
Exactly.
You're absolutely right. Plus, it's a skill you can use anywhere, regardless of the technology available.
Right.
You don't need fancy equipment.
Nope.
Or a reliable internet connection.
You don't.
To send a message in Morse code.
That's the beauty of it.
So it's reliable, efficient, and adaptable.
It is.
You'd think it would be way more popular than it is.
You would think.
Well, it's true that Morse code has declined in popularity, but it's having a bit of a comeback.
It is.
In surprising ways.
Yeah.
For instance, it's being used as an assistive technology to help people with disabilities communicate.
That's right.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
There are devices that allow individuals with limited mobility to send messages using Morse code.
Wow.
It gives them a voice when other methods might not be possible.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's really inspiring.
It is.
It shows the lasting power of this code to connect people
and
overcome barriers. It's not just about history or technology. It's about human ingenuity and the need to communicate no matter the obstacles.
Exactly. And in a world that's becoming increasingly reliant on these complex digital systems, perhaps Morse code, with its elegant simplicity, might find new relevance.
I like that.
Yeah, maybe as a way to communicate off the grid.
Okay.
Or in emergencies. Or simply as a way to connect with a different era of communication.
That's a really thought-provoking idea.
Yeah.
But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's talk about what it actually takes to learn Morse code.
Okay.
Is it as difficult as it seems?
Well, like learning any new language, it takes time and practice.
Okay.
But it's not as daunting as you might think.
Go.
There are different methods for learning, and one of the most popular is the Farnsworth method.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Doesn't it involve slowing down the code at first?
Exactly. The Farnsworth method starts with exaggerated spacing between letters to help beginners grasp the sound shape of each character. And as you become more proficient, the speed gradually increases.
It's like learning music.
Yeah.
You start slowly, and then you master the individual notes, and then gradually build up to playing entire melodies.
That's a great analogy.
And just like with music, there's a real satisfaction that comes from mastering Morse code.
Absolutely.
Being able to send and receive messages with fluency and precision.
Right.
It connects you to a long line of telegraph operators,
Yeah.
radio enthusiasts, and even those who use the code in life or death situations.
It's a rich history.
It is.
Yeah.
And even if you don't reach that level of proficiency, even a basic understanding of Morse code can open up a whole new world.
Yeah.
Like imagine being able to decipher those beeping sounds in movies or TV shows.
Right.
Or understanding the Morse code identifiers for navigation beacons while you're flying. It's like having a secret decoder ring for the world around us.
That's a great way to put it.
And let's not forget the potential survival benefits. Knowing how to send an SOS signal in Morse code could be a literal lifesaver in an emergency situation.
It could be.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's a skill that can be used anywhere in the world, regardless of language or technology.
That's true.
It's like having this universal communication tool tucked away in your back pocket.
I like that.
So as we approach the end of our deep dive into Morse code,
Yeah.
I can't help but feel a sense of awe at its enduring legacy, its adaptability, and its impact on so many lives throughout history.
It's fascinating to see how something so seemingly simple has had such a profound effect on communication and even world events.
Yeah.
And in a world that's constantly striving for faster, more efficient ways to connect.
Right.
Perhaps there's a lesson to be learned from the enduring power of Morse code.
Yeah, what is that lesson?
Maybe it's a reminder that sometimes the simplest tools can be the most effective, the most resilient, and the most lasting.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And maybe in our fast-paced digital world, there's a certain charm to the deliberate, rhythmic nature of Morse code.
Yeah.
It makes you slow down, pay attention, and really appreciate the art of communication.
The art of communication. I like that.
So we've covered a lot of ground in our deep dive into Morse code.
Yeah.
From its humble beginnings as bumps on paper tape
Right.
to its vital role in aviation and maritime communication, even wartime espionage.
Right.
We've seen how it empowered pilots,
Right.
connected ships across vast oceans,
Uh-huh.
and enabled the transmission of secret messages.
Yeah, in the heat of battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing to think that something so deeply intertwined with history and technology is at its heart so simple.
It really is.
All right,
It boils
whip.
down to just two elements, the dot and the dash,
Yeah.
combined in various ways to represent letters, numbers, punctuation, even special signals.
Yeah, like procedural signals and things.
Yeah.
It's like a secret language,
It is.
but one that anyone can learn with enough time and dedication.
Yeah.
And the process of learning Morse code is often compared to learning a new language.
It is.
It has its own grammar,
Right.
rhythm, and flow.
Yeah.
We talked earlier about the Farnsworth method,
Right.
which uses slower speeds and spaced-out letters to help beginners grasp the unique sound of each character.
Exactly.
And as you become more proficient, the speed gradually increases.
It does.
Like learning music.
Uh-huh.
Start slowly, master the individual notes, and then gradually build up to playing entire melodies.
That's a great analogy.
Just like with music, there's a real sense of accomplishment that comes from mastering Morse code.
There is.
Being able to send and receive messages with fluency and precision
Yeah.
connects you to a long line of telegraph operators,
It does.
radio enthusiasts,
Uh-huh.
and those who use the code in critical situations.
Yeah, it's a rich history.
It is rich history.
Yeah.
And even if you never reach the level of a seasoned operator,
Yep.
even a basic understanding of Morse code can be incredibly rewarding.
Yeah, I think so.
You could decipher those beeping sounds in movies and TV shows,
Right.
or understand the Morse code identifiers for navigation beacons while you're flying.
Yeah. That would be cool.
It's like unlocking a hidden layer of communication
It is.
in the world around you.
Yeah.
Of course, we can't forget the potential survival benefits.
Of course not.
Knowing how to send an SOS signal in Morse code could quite literally save your life in an emergency.
It could.
It's a skill that transcends language barriers
Uh-huh.
and technological limitations.
Yeah,
It's a truly universal form of communication.
it is.
As we wrap up our deep dive into the world of Morse code, I'm struck by a sense of awe and wonder
Yeah.
at its enduring legacy.
It's pretty amazing.
It's a testament to human ingenuity
Yeah.
and the power of simple yet effective communication
Mm-hmm.
in a world dominated by instant messages and fleeting digital communications. Perhaps there's a valuable lesson to be learned from the enduring power of Morse code.
I think so.
Maybe it's a reminder that sometimes the simplest tools are the most effective, the most resilient, and the most enduring.
Yeah, I agree.
So to our listeners, we leave you with this final thought.
Okay.
In a world that's constantly searching for faster, more efficient ways to connect,
Uh-huh.
could there be a resurgence of interest in a code that's over 160 years old?
That's a good question.
Could Morse code, with its unique blend of simplicity, efficiency, and adaptability,
Yeah.
find a new place in the 21st century?
I don't know, maybe.
Perhaps not as a primary mode of communication,
Right.
but as a valuable skill, a connection to history, or even a symbol of resilience in an increasingly complex world.
It's something to think about.
It is something to think about.
Yeah.
We'll leave that for you to ponder.
Until next time.
Until next time, happy listening.